Alright, let's go. So I'm gonna be watching this launch trailer. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Thanks. Usually those cinematic trailers are very awesome, so I believe this is gonna be that as well. Yeah, alright. Okay. So far I've seen nothing. Oh, it's cinematic, that explains it. And then the thunderstruck. Dragon. It's just flying. Okay. Thank you for not being interesting. Okay. Gameplay trailer. I think this is something that I can relate to. World of Warcraft.
Something has happened.
Okay, let's see what it has to offer.
Terrible. Who is she? What is she?
She is Razagath, youngest of the primal incarnates.
The release of Razagath heralds great danger for this world.
If we are to be protectors once more, the aspects of our Dragonflights must be made anew.
Then it seems
Yeah,
the mortal
such a gameplay.
face the storms ahead.
Okay. Evoke. No. Even more.
Go to them. Along the way, you may discover a new destiny of your own.
Repurchase the game even though there's no way that the game is gonna run out. So what's the purpose of pre-purchasing? Okay, let's go through the gameplay trailer because cinematic obviously didn't cover anything. So there's dragons fighting. This is nothing. I can tell you the fact I really like the animations of the gameplay trailer. Not so skeptical, right? And I like the fact that this orc, when he turns his head, you can hear the bones crack. I love that. Wait.
The storms ahead.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, I like that. But this is generic world boss that's already in the game in different expansions, and it doesn't really show you anything. This is nothing. Additional race within the same graphics that doesn't improve or change anything in the game. Evoke draconic power. So they give you transformations such as a wolf that already exists, werewolf, sorry, in the game. that doesn't really grant you anything besides the gliding. And as fun as it looks now, I'm perfectly sure that you cannot glide anywhere. You need to unlock this thing, and it's what's the purpose of gliding if it's just, I don't know, it's just such an easy way to grab your attention.
Go to them. Along the way, you may discover a new
Same skins, basically just different, I don't know, for me just the very same game all over again, and it doesn't really look like they tried improving the game or changing the game. So I have other video now here. Released 10 months ago. I know that everyone in the Twitch is still hyped about the expansion. They're saying they're embracing the expansion, how great it is, how wonderful it is, and how terrific the gameplay, the changes and everything is looking within the game. But I'm more than sure that not a thing has changed besides the names of the monsters, skins of the monsters, textures, new cosmetics, and the location names. Nothing else. The game core hasn't changed. There's absolute corruption within the game. You can buy everything through real money. You can progress through real money, and the game itself is just broken from within. And the game developers, instead of addressing the problems and fixing the problems, they're destroying the individual communities, such as private servers, and yeah, they're just destroying the fun out of it and making game instead of a game as a fun activity where you contribute. I think World of Warcraft is like what, like $15 a month, something like that, or $13 a month, and each expansion costs like $30 to $50, right? Something like that. So instead of treating the community that everything is limited and all you can do in game is just dedicate your time, enjoy the game, and explore what is within the game, you're being limited to the expansion itself. And if just in case new expansion comes out, the previous content that was within the game becomes irrelevant. All of the professions, all of the levelings, all of the monsters, the level scaling, the dungeons, everything is messed up, really. So I'm just gonna go watch this video, should you play World of Warcraft in 2022, and we will see, and I will comment additionally what is my opinions about the game.
The office, it was not a pleasant experience to be a WoW player, but as they say, new year, new me. 2022 could be the year of World of Warcraft, or could it be a failure? So let's discuss if this game is worth your time. We'll be looking at certain aspects of the game, from the cost of the game, to character creation, to leveling, to endgame content. All will be covered and decide whether or not you should play WoW in 2022. Before we start, consider subscribing, and if you enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like and hit the bell icon so you're notified whenever I post. It helps me immensely. Thank you, and let's get into the video. World of Warcraft is an MMORPG that was released in 2004 when I was a little toddler, and is only available on PC and Mac. It is considered by many the greatest MMO of all time, as its reign of dominance has spanned for almost 18 years now. It is a very old,
Considered by US people, not by Asians, not by other part of the map. It's just US people. Back in the time, everything was very limited, communication was limited, and even though internet was started spreading, this was not so widely known and widely accessible game within the globe as it is right now, where the prices, even though like 15 years have passed, the game price for game time stayed the same. However, if we look back like 15 years ago, average gamer, how not so many people could spend like $15 to $20 each and every month just to log into the game. Besides the fact that you need to buy the game for $60, which was huge. Now it's a little bit different, but back in the day, It was huge. And looking at the economies such as Europe and smaller countries, right? Having this much amount of money, it was not possible. So world success, not really. I can't really say that. Sorry. I played Lineage at the time, so
game, but has kept up with the times and has improved its quality and the game design over time to keep up with the standard of the MMO genre. To get into WoW, the payment method is a monthly subscription which includes all the previous old content, which has been the many expansions that have come out over the years. This subscription also includes access to Classic WoW and Classic TBC, older installments of the game. For players who want to experience the game in older states, they are able to as well. You have to buy the most recent content to
So basically they're saying you that we're not going to address the core problems of the earlier expansions because this is the legit classic way that built and created our community, and instead of upgrading the game to the 2022 standards and well this year's standard, they're just giving it with updated graphics, with updated cinematics about the game, and they're just not seeing the very same thing, or just pretending to give people additional stuff. I don't know. The point what I'm trying to say is that Blizzard is not respecting the player base and such that they would make the game that would be best for the gamer. Instead, they're trying to make the game that would create more consumers. And I believe this to be a very wrong approach, and this is not something to be approached or appreciated. But in the World of Warcraft, I see this thing to happen over and over again, and within multiple games, as Blizzard invents and creates new games, same thing just keeps on rolling and rolling, like a boulder.
Experienced a retail version of World of Warcraft, which the current
Mists of Pandaria. I remember this expansion. I haven't even played during the time of Mists of Pandaria, but I remember this was so focused on the Chinese market back in the day that the whole region was Asian. The race was Asian. This was appreciated by very little amount of people that really love Asian content, but I think I say on behalf of all Europeans, I'm from Europe myself, everyone loves Asian content. Everyone loves anime, Japanese, and crazy stuff from time to time, right? We all watch anime, even though we might not consider it anime at that time when we're watching it. But the fact that you need to play the game that is not built for... Well, you haven't purchased the anime game, right? You're playing World of Warcraft, and the fact that you're stuck playing Mists of Pandaria, the Asian version of the game, for a couple of years, it's just, I don't know, it's just wrong. It's just sad that Blizzard's main objective is to collect as much money as possible, and knowing the fact that Chinese has a lot of market potential, and I know that Blizzard is partially owned by a Chinese company. This might be the core impact, as well as all of the giveaways by Blizzard that's happening. The fact is just sad that they're committed to destroying the game by ruining community and just thinking that, okay, we're gonna squeeze the player base as much as we can so we could take out as much money as we can. We do monetizations and content limitations and restrictions, securities on the game as little as possible, as long as the player base keeps playing the game. I do understand that I believe that they have a certain metric, certain threshold set, under which if under X player base doesn't drop, then they can keep downsizing and lowering the any sort of protections or manpower to ensure that the game quality and toxicity stays above critical level. But as this threshold really was never reached, Blizzard is not communicating with the community, is not changing or addressing any of the problems. And this is not me only speaking. I know that Blizzard, within majority of the games, they state that they are listening to the community, but they're never responding in the forums, they're never responding to the public statements, and it really looks like very well crafted attorneys replies to the any sort of gaming communities or game responses when it comes to replying from the Blizzard. It's like they're still living in the year 2000, where communication was not a thing. But in these years, in the year 2022 and upcoming 2023, it's one of the things that is appreciated, and one of the things that people see to be valued and to looked at. Okay.
Our expansion out right now is Shadowlands, which came out on November 23rd, 2020. The last major content patch of this expansion is set out to come out February 22nd, 2022. So it's a very good time right now to come back to the...
I can tell you I played Shadowlands for, I think half a year. I have my complete opinions about the game.
Content available. World of Warcraft also has a cash shop, which is not pay to win, as it only includes cosmetics and character customization options that give no advantage to players in any sort of way. When you start playing the game, you have to choose a server to play on, and depending on where you live, you want to choose a server closest to you so you have the best possible experience when it comes to performance. But you're not limited, so if you are from Australia and you don't want to play on Oceanic, you can go pick America if you wanted to.
Yeah, so pick the server, but the game will not have a community for you because everything is sharded, as the game is saying. So each server you pick, you're gonna be distributed to different server based on the business of the server activity. So if the server population is low, you're gonna be distributed to that particular server with that server player base. So it doesn't really matter which server you pick. It just creates certain limitations for a PvP or roleplay. But nevertheless, it just... I don't know why they allow this server selection to be a thing up till this day, as they have completely ruined the selection and the community within the servers.
You will also have the choice between two different types of servers, normal and RP. Normal servers are where you have the option to opt into World PVP, but in current day WoW, World PVP is not much of a focus. RP, also known as role-playing servers, are servers where people become their characters and act in-game, conversing with others. Definitely a weirder side to WoW, but if you enjoy it, go do you. So now you would go create your character. WoW is a faction-based game, so you can choose between Horde and Alliance. Each side has 6 core races, with the 7th being playable on both sides. That will be able to be played right away. And then you have 5 allied races that you can unlock later down the line in the game through quests.
Well, this part of the game creation window, I really like this creation window. It was a little bit boring window back in the day, but I like this upgrade of the character creation window that shows classes, appearances, and how the classes are played out. So this is the cool change, I can tell you. And the variety of classes, I know that it's a lot of classes that you can pick, but classes themselves, I don't really believe that they are unique in a way, or they can be expressed in a way that it would reflect their uniqueness. But
lines for each faction, meaning 23 races in total. Each race has their own special abilities and perks that is only really important in high level endgame content. Now, when it comes to the classes, you have the option of 12 classes, with them being locked by race. You have the warrior, which is a smash your keyboard type class. The hunter, a sharpshooter with a fierce companion to protect you. The mage, the master of fire, frost, and arcane. The rogue is the backstabbing assassin. The priest is your friendly neighborhood holy healer with a twist of dark shadow damage. The warlock is your dark demon controlling class with a side of curses. The paladin is your armored holy crusader whipping holy light all around. The druid is your shape-shifting lover of nature. The shaman is the avatar wielding the elements everywhere they go. The monk is your hand-to-hand specialist, punch first and ask questions later. The demon hunter is a hero class starting at a higher level using their demonic powers. The death knight is an armored undead summoning necromancer hero class starting at a higher level.
Do you know what's the difference between the classes when you hit a certain level? There's none. At each and every class, when you hit max level, each and every class, for example, in other games, if you are a warrior, you can approach a mage and you do additional damage to the mage because he's wielding, because he's wearing a cloth armor, right? In this game, I thought such thing would exist, but it only existed in the classic versions. In current version and current state of the game, such thing does not exist at all. I believe in other games, you clearly see the difference where warrior is fighting a mage and mage is having advantage. Mage has huge damage, but he has limited mobility and is very weak to close range attacks. In World of Warcraft, you can be warrior, you can be rogue, you can be druid, you can be any class that you wish to be. You can approach the mage, mage will not die. Mage have barriers, mage have teleports, mage have additional perks that can burn you down if you're close to the mage. Mage itself, as any other class, is so viable and so complex if you want to be ultimate killing machine that the game allows you to be. But the fact that you need to remember that each and every class within this game, as per current state, the latest expansion, is strongest and is best in slot if you know how to play it. So with that said, imagine if 5 people, or there's arena like 3 versus 3 people that are top tier meet, the only way for them to kill each other would be to see the other player cast a particular cooldown animation, for example like a barrier, and after that barrier ends, you know that there's going to be a window of 1 minute or 2 minutes that you can use all of your skills twice or 3 times, 3 rotations, so that you could kill a mage, rogue, or any other class. But besides that, you're in the party, you're being healed, and no one can kill no one because everyone is immortal. Advantage of the mage, I remember I leveled up a mage, is that there's a fire mage that has a magic boulder, I think, that you can use to damage. I think damage is like 35% of enemy's health. So it casts for maybe 3.5 seconds. So 3 times or 4 times cast, any enemy is gonna be dead. But if you're not doing the percentage damage, you're just falling into the very same trap. And I'm not gonna go too deep into PvP. I think this video is gonna cover it, but let's just go.
Death Knight is an armored undead summoning between when it comes to classes and races with a high degree of customization, with you having the ability to completely change your playstyle with various different specs and abilities and talents per class. You'll be spending a major time touching it all out to see what you really like to play.
You can tell I really like the fact that I think everyone can appreciate that it doesn't matter which class you pick, you can have a specializations within it. So priest as a shadow priest, a holy priest, healer, damage dealer. So this is really cool addition to the game. I really appreciate that.
When it comes to World of Warcraft, the combat is top tier. Animation, spell accessibility, design, and the feeling of the character, nothing really beats it in the MMO genre.
It does.
The control you feel of your character is...
I mean, there's a lot of games that can beat World of Warcraft in combat. It just macro build game style and rotation build game style. It's not the best. There's a lot of games like it. Like most of the MMOs are like it. Not all of them, but most of MMOs are like it. Animations, of course, is beautiful. The game is 15 years old. Imagine how much of millions you have collected and amount of people you can hire to craft the animation perfections. So this is kind of obvious and expected of the game this old.
Supreme and is one of the best things about WoW. When starting your leveling journey in World of Warcraft, from 1 to 10, you have the option to go to an intro area called Exile's Reach, which will teach you the basics of the game, and I recommend this to anyone new to WoW, as it will get you a grasp of how the game works. Your other option from 1 to 10 is to do your...
Yeah, let's just check if I'm recording. Yeah, I am.
race starting area, which will be different and unique depending on the race you end up choosing. This will send you into the world of Azeroth, which is the early leveling area of the game and also the main world of World of Warcraft. After you hit level 10, you will have options to
Sprint would be so cool.
choose the places you want to level to 50. This is going to consist of old expansions that came out in the past. Whether or not you want to level in the old world of Azeroth,
I remember this thing to be somewhat exploitable and could be cool, but it's I don't think it is. So where at the very start of the game you can pick expansion that you want to play through to get to the max level. And the thing is that older expansions have a lower player base and a harder quest to do so. The quests are longer, it takes you longer distances from A to B so that you could get quest rewards and quest XP, where newer expansions are trying to give you like migraine of amount of quests there are that you can complete. So you go from one quest to the second quest and there's like 6 quests in the one same area and you can get several levels in the same area from the latest expansion. I remember I did this in Legion expansion, but if you compare to the Outland expansion, which was the very first of the World of Warcraft expansions back in the day, such thing does not exist, as the expansion itself starts at level 60.
or head to a desolate planet or train in the up north, you have the freedom to go wherever you want to experience the story in many of these old expansions, but there is very little to no voice acting, and if any, it would be present in the newer expansions with cutscenes. And with leveling not being the main draw to the game or focus of World of Warcraft, you will level pretty fast and reach current content within a day if you wanted to. But as well, you have the option to enjoy the story and learn about the game, which could be your enjoyable experience and give you a lot more insight on what's going on.
The video is saying you can reach the current content within a day. You can reach the world that you can come to town and see other people within. The content itself, as within all of the expansions, starts at the end level. So in order for you to get to the end level, it's not within a day. It's within a day if you, I believe you're gonna spend like $60 to get your character boosted to the max level or something like this. But I remember I was a rookie, first time playing World of Warcraft. It took me 2 weeks. I was lucky there was no my girlfriend was away. I had 2 weeks so I could just come after work, grind the game, enjoy the game to its fullest, and after 2 weeks I started seeing the end of the expansion. Well, I started seeing not the end of the expansion, I started seeing the start of the expansion. And it was really a pleasant journey up until I started seeing the cracks
Going on in the world somewhat. But while being such a massive game, there's a lot of story that you would have to go through to really understand the whole game. After hitting level 50, you will start to experience the newest expansion Shadowlands and make your way to level 60, which is the current max level. The most important aspect of World of Warcraft hands down is the end game content. This will include PvE and PvP content, which will offer you a good amount of things to progress.
Yeah, that's right. Endgame is the core of the World of Warcraft, for sure.
Through and experience the current expansion Shadowlands. You will enter a dungeon crawler called Torghast, which you will grind resources to obtain legendary powers to enhance your class further in fun and creative ways. As well, you'll be able to join one of 4 groups called Covenants that will offer you unique powers for your character. From transforming into an animal to having a massive flesh shield, there's a lot.
I remember Covenants. There's like 4 Covenants you can choose based on the cosmetic, based on the skills. Skills can be used on dungeons if you go against the monster enemies, player versus environment, or you can go on into Covenants that are more focused on the PvP oriented skills that grants you shield debuff or health regeneration or being immune for a certain amount of thing. But the thing is that you can pick only 1 covenant per character. You cannot swap those. Those are tied with the story, and if you pick the one that is that you decide that okay, I want to switch. The thing is, you need to cancel your progress, your hours, and it's not like 10 hours that you need to. Sorry, 10 is a lot as well. It's not like 10 hours you can put into progressing your covenant. No, it's gonna be like 100 or several hundred hours that is tied to your progression through limited time dungeons that allows you to progress those dungeons within several times a week or a day, as well as your personal time. And there's a reuses of skill upgrades within the covenants themselves. And if you, for example, what happened is I played the game. I played as a hunter. I used covenant. I don't remember the blue one, basically that gives you additional damage. And it so happened that I noticed that in PvP this covenant was very weak. At first I was very oriented into PvE content, but later on I decided, okay, I want to PvP. And if I go into PvP zones, I see everyone is using different covenant skills that I see are stronger. But for me to do such a switch would be like, I don't know, nailing myself to to something. Because this would be self-harm to my already spent time within the game, leveling up covenant. Ensuring and covering the lore, understanding what is behind the scenes of why I have chosen this covenant, what is the perks, benefits. There's even additional mounts within the zone of that particular covenant. So I would be canceling my progress of hundreds of hours just because I want to PvP. And if I would see the very same thing applying to the PvE, I can't really do so much of a damage, as the covenant is single target abilities do more damage than multiple enemies abilities, right? So if you go PvE, then you want to have long range and a lot of enemies killing abilities that can do that, right? And help your party to do that. But if you're PvPing, you want to single target abilities because you're not fighting against 20 people always, right? And such diversity is really mind-blowing that it exists, and it diversifies the players into people who have chosen incorrectly according to their game style, and people who have chosen correctly, and this only tied into this particular genre of the game and this particular role set, skill set, and specialization based on their covenant ability. And it is mind-blowing. Besides the fact that leveling journey, besides the fact that gear leveling is such a mind-numbing activity and is not being fixed or addressed within years, like I'm not speaking like a couple of years, I'm speaking like 10 years or more. It's mind-blowing to me that people are still pre-purchasing the game, that people are still buying the game, buying cosmetics and buying the runs within the game. So, let's go.
A lot of customization present in these systems. World of Warcraft is a vertical progression based game, meaning you will progressively get better gear by doing endgame content, and the harder the difficulty of the content, the better gear you will attain. This is the formula for all forms of endgame content in WoW. In PvE, you'll be able to go through the staple 5-man dungeons to gear up and then go through higher difficulties of the same dungeons, sometimes with added timers to complete and affixes to completely change how the dungeon even works, from new abilities on mobs to new mobs.
I can tell you that the dungeons in World of Warcraft are very nicely made. It's very well designed, it's aesthetically pleasing as the game itself. But the community itself is so tied into progression and is so stressed out about completing everything in perfect way that if you are not meeting criteria, if you don't have a achievement track record of successfully beating the boss under a certain time period, you will be left out. You will not be considered to join the party or ever again to participate in such a group, because you don't have experience or you don't have a constant group to drag you along the way to the top of the leaderboard. And just in case you're playing solo and you don't have a group and you're thinking like, okay, I can just skip this content, right? The thing is, more of the harder content you do, more of the content is unlocked for you. And if you don't do certain content, you can't do PvP. If you don't want to do PvP, there's PvE content, but at some point in expansion, no one will be doing lower raid bosses or lower dungeons, because everyone is going to be doing more difficult and difficult bosses within the game. And if you don't have a constant group that you play throughout the expansion from the very start, there's only a couple of options left. So first option would be for you to obviously join a clan or a guild that just boosts you to the certain level, and you accompany a guild by giving some sort of materia, giving away your gold, or I don't know, supporting the guildmates, or just straight up being online 24/7 when you are needed. And other option would be to pay real money so that you would be boosted. And just imagine, what would be more beneficial to you? Play for a 1 week, 18 hours a day or 16 hours a day, or just simply spend like $300 and be boosted to the right mythical level, right complexity, right hardness of the bosses, that is current minimum viable dungeons for current progression and current playthrough of the game. So just imagine, you're already paying for the game, you already bought the expansion, but besides that, you still need to pay within the game for other people that you could progress. And this might look very skeptical and very shocking, but it is true. And there's, I'm not sure why this video is not covering, but there's so much gold sellers in every server that is absurd. At certain point, you start thinking, if I go to work and do a double shift, would it be worth it for me to simply just buy those guys so I could just jump a couple of tiers higher into the dungeon and get the so awesome gear that I could progress other dungeons on my own? We have those ideas, and this thing only exists in World of Warcraft. Okay.
Negative effects on your character. Dungeons is one of the most popular aspects of WoW. As well, you have massive raids that you will be able to enter with 10 to 30 players, coordinate and fight monsters in massive fights with varying difficulty and rewards. Another big aspect of WoW. In PvP, you'll be able to play unranked and ranked PvP, with ranking allowing you to build up your rating and attain titles and increasing levels of gear. Battlegrounds consist of 15 to 40 players of 2 different teams competing on different maps with objectives like capture the flag, etc. Rated battlegrounds are the ranked version where you can build up your PvP.
I remember playing Lineage back in the day without the Goddess of War expansion, and you see some guy, you can honestly guess the guy's gear by looking at it. You can understand what kind of equipment the person is wearing, and based on that equipment you can be sure, or well, have a like 70% guess decision. Either you can fight the guy and win in open world, or you can lose. The same thing in closed combat, in arenas, and Olympiads. In World of Warcraft, that level of easiness and your ability to exploit other classes if you are a certain class was it never existed within the game. Never. And seeing even this PvP, like for example, check it out. I'm just gonna mute it. This is the max level character. This is a mage. This is a mage druid that is shooting the guy that has 9,000 something HP, right? He does 1,000 damage, 400 damage, and other party members is helping to kill it. But the fact that you are a mage and you are crippled by amount of damage you are making, and it's just wrong. It's just you are casting magic and just suffering yourself. That in none of the other games you see magic being so devaluated. In all of the games, if you're using magic, you are spending mana. Mana equals power, right? So this is mind-blowing that mage users do the very same damage as fighters, close range fighters, and distance between mage and the fighter or differences, it doesn't really exist. It's just different animations for very same damage. It's just nonsense.
Version where you can build up your PvP rating. The most popular PvP game mode, Arena, are 2v2 and 3v3 death matches where you face different teams.
Yeah, this is the cooldown matches. So if you can guess what kind of cooldown other player has pressed, then you can guess either you have a window to attack or not. And these are all of the mods that are legal within the game that allows you to exploit and see other people's used skills. And this is... I remember I first time tried playing this mod. It was really unique. But at certain point, if you want to master it, you need to know all of the classes, all of the skills, and reuses. You can look at here. You can look here. It's like 2 minutes. 2 minutes reuses. One minute reuse, right? And it's not a fight that you can use such a reuse once. It's a fight that you're gonna use this reuse like 3 times. The fight will not end because there's you might miss the window. You might be stunned or something, and other reuse pops up, and you just can't kill other people. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter if you buy your equipment and you're on top of the gear scoreboard. You are like top #1 geared guy. You can't kill no one in a couple of shots because the game is so balanced that there's no class uniqueness at all.
Of different classes to win and gain rating. This is a very intense, high pace, very little error for margin game mode. So the major question: should you play World of Warcraft in 2022? With it being the #1 MMO according to MMO population with a very active player base, you'll have endless amount of people to play with and form communities in the form of guilds where you can converse and set up events with people on your server. And with the game updating every few months, you will have things to do, whether it be leveling a new character, trying out different aspects of the endgame, or just enjoying old content. You can do a lot in World of Warcraft. Overall, the WoW content is usually good with a few issues. I personally enjoy going and experiencing the old content as there's almost 2 decades.
Yeah, if you go to the old content, you can kill everyone in a couple of hits because you're too powerful always. It's nothing to enjoy. You just go in there, see a monster with different skin. Or if you go to the dungeon, you kill bosses, not monsters. You kill bosses in a couple of hits as well. In some cases, you can't even see the full animations because you cast a skill. And I remember as a ranger, I went into the dungeon and I just shot for 120 million damage. Because I went to the earlier expansions for item cosmetic. And that thing is so normalized that the thing that I'm going to earlier expansion is such a nonsense and waste of time in eyes of the game, that the only way that I could be relevant as a gamer or having fun as a consumer in eyes of Blizzard would be me only playing the relevant, the recent, the newest, the latest content. All of the other content is worthless, it's waste of time. But the new content is the one that you should be enjoying and liking and playing. And that's the only truth that the Blizzard sees.
of it that many players gloss over and head straight to the end game, which is unfortunate as it makes the old content irrelevant. I also enjoy the end game progression of starting a character from scratch and seeing it progress over time into an absolute beast with insane powers. It's a very addicting process for me. I also enjoy going back and looking for rare 1% mount drops that I find really cool. I would recommend as a WoW player of 14 years to take it slow and appreciate the game and set goals of things you want to do, as WoW is a very ambiguous game. There really isn't a clear path. Go for things that you really enjoy doing. I would also recommend playing with friends, as it can be a really enjoyable experience. With hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, I would say it's absolutely worth trying to experience WoW and seeing if you enjoy it. Whether you're a new player or one who's coming back, there is content for everyone. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you really are amazing. And if you did enjoy the video, consider subscribing and giving it a like and hitting that bell icon so you know when I upload. It does help me immensely. Thank you.
Okay, so I think
Thank you for watching.
This guy is right. So if you haven't tried playing World of Warcraft and you're very skeptical about investing your time and money into this game, you can play with a very critical mindset and just setting yourself some goals. For example, I'm gonna hit max level. I'm not gonna spend any additional money. I will be playing for limited time every week, and my goal is to kill monsters, kill raid bosses, see new dungeons. If that's the goal, I believe this game can offer you that, and that this is gonna be an easy thing to accomplish. If at certain point you will come across that you may need to communicate with other human being, not a human being like a bean, but a human person, you may have different opinions what kind of content you wish to explore. As in dungeons, you will be crucified if you are not following the rules and you are not aware of the dungeon. You're not aware of your role, how you should heal, tank, or do correct DPS rotations based on particular time, because everything has a time limit within the game. A very same thing for raiding. Just in raiding, for example, if you have like 30 or more people raiding, if core players like tank or healer dies, you know that it's gonna be so hard for other players to sustain themselves, heal themselves, and continue fighting the boss. That's most likely based on your mistakes. Other people may die, and I know other games, I'm not gonna tell you which, but other games don't really focus too much on your mistakes and just give you tips, hints how you can avoid those. But in World of Warcraft, if you make mistakes, they're gonna punish you for it. There's always ways. The very same thing with PvP. PvP, there's no such thing as 1 versus 1 PvP. Besides going into open world and fighting multiple groups within either alliance or horde based zones, but one or another, if you can find one person, most likely that person is either undergeared or overgeared, so you're never gonna find the right PvP match for you. But what is most commonly known is the PvP ranked arenas, as this video just covered, is where you have 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3 arenas that are ranked. And just in case you don't know how to play your role correctly, you're gonna go down, you're gonna lose a lot of matches, you're not gonna have a good reputation or reputation to be partied with, because the game is not giving you like certain matches that you can get ranked. The game gives you just 0 rank, and in order for you to progress, you need to kill players. If you kill players, you get rank. If you die from a player match, you lose rank. And in those matches, if your teammate dies, you will lose. In those matches, if enemy player dies, you have double the advantage because you are 2 versus 1, right? So it's very co-op dependent PvP, 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3, where enjoyment becomes very frustrating, where if you're partying with other players that don't really know what they're doing, and if you are in the situation that you are the one that don't know how you're doing or what wrong you're doing, what other classes are are using, what type of skills, it may become very stressful. And in those moments, you may consider consulting with other players, consulting on forums and so on and so forth. But you will see that complexity of the game, in order for you to perform on average level, it's so complicated, so deep, and you being able to freely enjoy the game, do what you wish within the game, is so tied up in the latest expansion, queue times, certain roles, meta. It's such a nonsense development decision by the Blizzard that it's not a great pick. I personally would prefer playing any other game besides World of Warcraft right now, even though the Blizzard is giving away a free trial, I think like 3 days, so you could try out the Dragonflight expansion. But it's like a drug. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna give you anything good. It's just gonna be like you're gonna try it. You're gonna remember why you don't like the game, or 3 days gonna get you hooked. But in less than a month after you have subscribed for the game or purchased the game, you're gonna cancel the subscription because the game is exactly the same as you left. It's on the very same state as you left. And that's the reason why I personally play other games and why I'm not tying myself to one particular game. So, yeah. And by the way, if you're looking into other games, if you wish to see other games, there's a G2A store. As you can see the link on the screen. So in this link, you can purchase a lot of games, including World of Warcraft, yes, and any other game that you choose. So this portal offers you discounts for all sorts of games, and not only limited to physical games that you can order through CDs, but other games that you can buy as a digital CD keys and activate them on Steam, on Epic Games, and on other stores. So most often the prices that are offered here are very flexible, and they're even cheaper that you can see here on the screen, which is crazy, right? And if you compare those prices, what you see here, the prices that you see on the Steam or Epic Games, you most often find the good price here. So if you have never heard of this site, I do encourage you to look it up. I think I'm gonna remove my headphones. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.